Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution began in the 18th century when agricultural societies became more industrialized and urban. The Transcontinental Railroad, the cotton gin, electricity, and other inventions permanently changed society. Started in Britain and spread throughout the world. Major inventions. Better metals and richer fuel also contributed to industrialization by creating the steam engine, an integrated machine to industrialization which powered factories, locomotives, and ships. The new steam engines used coal and iron both in their construction and as fuel, creating demand for these resources. Steam engine by James Watt. Railway, a meaningful symbol of the new age, which in turn had consequences for architecture, stations, bridges, and tunnels. The steamboat, an important means of transportation which in turn had consequences for mass migration from across the globe. Locomotive. The locomotive named Butcher that dragged 30 tons material still 4 miles. This successful presentation marked the first steam locomotive journey made on railroad that was specifically created for train use. Cotton gin made cotton processing less labor intensive. It helped planters earn greater profits, prompting them to grow larger crops, which in turn required more people. James Hargreaves, spinning jenny, revolutionized the process of cotton spinning. The machine used 8 spindles onto which the thread was spun. So by turning a single wheel, the operator could now spin 8 threads at once. Impacts of the Industrial Revolution. Because of the population explosion and high demand for workers in factories, people began to urbanize and move into cities in very large quantities. The crowded, filthy slums were a breeding ground for diseases such as cholera. Women at work. Factory owners hired women because they could pay them less. Women with families worked 12 hours a day and were still expected to cook, clean, etc. when they finally got home. Children at work. Families needed the income working children could provide. Children could be hired at very low wages. Children worked in the same dangerous. Capital for investing in the means of production, colonies and markets for manufactured goods, raw materials for production, workers, merchant marine, and geography. The Commercial Revolution made many English merchants very wealthy. Wealth from the Commercial Revolution spread beyond the merchant class. England had more colonies than any other nation. Its colonies gave England access to enormous markets and vast amounts of raw materials. Colonies had rich textile industries for centuries. Many of the natural clothes popular today, such as calico and gingham, were originally created in India, and China had a silk industry. England itself possessed the necessary raw materials to create the means of production. Coal, vast coal reserves powered steam engines. Iron, basic building block of large machines, railroad tracks, trains, and ships. Serfdom and guilds ended earlier in England than other countries. English people could freely travel from the countryside to the cities. Enclosure Acts caused many small farmers to lose their lands, and these former farmers increased the labor supply. Merchant Marine, world's largest merchant fleet. Merchant Marine built up from the Commercial Revolution. Vast numbers of ships could bring raw materials and finished goods to and from England's colonies and possessions, as well as to and from other countries. Geography. England is the political center of Great Britain, an island. Great Britain as the entire island was called beginning in 1707. Did not suffer fighting on its land during the War of the 18th century. Island has excellent harbors and ports. Damp climate benefit the textile industry. Government stable. No internal trade barriers. Telegraph 1844, rapid communication across continents. Telephone 1876, human speech heard across continents. Atlantic cable 1866, United States and Europe connected by cable. Wireless telegraph, an early form of the radio 1895, no wire needed for sending. Radio tube 1907, radio broadcast could be sent around the world. Television 1925, simultaneous audio and visual broadcast. How long did it last? The Industrial Revolution lasted for over 100 years. After beginning in Britain in the late 1700s, it spread to Europe and the United States. The Industrial Revolution can be divided into two phases. First Industrial Revolution. The first wave of Industrial Revolution lasted from the late 17,000s to the mid-18,000s. It industrialized the manufacture of textiles and began to the move of production from homes to factories. Steam power and the cotton gin played an important role in this period. Second Industrial Revolution, the next wave took place from the mid-18,000s to the early 19,000s. During this phase, large factories and companies began to use more technologies to mass-produce goods. Important innovations during this period include the use of electricity, the production line, and the Bessemer steel process.